You say, I'm allowed to do anything, but not everything's good for you. You say, I'm allowed to do anything, but not everything is beneficial. If we're wanting to be in the kingdom of God, we need to do what's good for us and beneficial to the people around us. That's how we open ourselves up to the blessings that God has for His people in His kingdom. It's not about what we can or can't do. It's not about specific rules that we're taught to follow. It's not about the things that please our old sinful natures and desires. It's about doing what is beneficial and good to those around us. It's about pleasing God and enjoying the blessings that come from that. At the end of this chapter, Paul's got a whole big thing on it. It's very interesting reading. But in verse 31, he says, so whether you eat or drink, whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. Whatever is a big word. Does that mean that when I grocery shop, I should do it all for the glory of God? Is grocery shopping fitting into whatever? When I'm in line at the drive-thru, should I do that for the glory of God? When I'm at the hardware store, I was at one of the big box hardware stores a couple of weeks ago. All I wanted to do was buy a toolbox. And they had the one I wanted. There was no price on it. Well, whether or not I wanted it would be determined by how much it cost. If it was $75, I'll buy it. If it was $300, not quite. So I stood there for a while and was looking for somebody in the vest. Didn't see anybody. Went up to one of the cashiers and said, I have a question about a toolbox over here. Could you ask somebody to come over? And she said, sure. And got on the little speaker and asked somebody to come over. I stood there for 40 minutes. And after 40 minutes, I decided that they weren't that interested in selling me a toolbox. Now, I can come up with a few times in my life where I would have let them know precisely what I thought and to what degree on my way out. And there are people sitting in here that go, you should have. It would have taken me another 40 minutes to get up the management chain to somebody who would care. Would the girl at the cash register have had anything to do with this? No. So why would I unload on her? Does the guy getting carts in the parking lot have anything to do with it? No. So me not getting the service that I'm looking for at the hardware store, whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. So I woke up the next morning, and on my way to the office, I went in, and the toolbox was gone. And then I remembered that in between the hardware store and my office is a Sonic. And so I took advantage of that situation. And I ate that Sonic breakfast burger for the glory of God. A couple weeks later, I was back there with Rhonda, and they didn't have the one I was looking at, but they had one I actually liked better. And I bought it. Does any of that fit into whatever you do? It all does. You see, what I do for God's glory, not mine. I do for the benefit of the people around me, not mine. And that's what gets me into God's kingdom and makes me available to receive the wonderful things that God has for me. Maybe if I'm not seeing the wonderful things that the Bible describes, maybe I'm not living where I think I'm living. It's an interesting topic. The kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven, Jesus' kingdom, is a kingdom of blessing, protection, peace, wisdom, purpose, comfort, etc., etc., etc. It's all here right now. But it's up to us to decide whether or not we want to be a part of it. We get to choose. We get to choose by the decisions we make every day in our everyday lives. Personally, I want to be a long-term resident.